Hello everyone! Today, I'm bringing you a very unconventional Japanese love story. A high school girl has a crush on a classmate, but he already has a girlfriend. Shockingly, the girl approaches her crush's girlfriend and even engages in a same-sex intimate relationship with her. What will be their fate? This complicated romance unfolds in the campus of Maoxiao City High School in Japan. The girls from the dance team are practicing on the field. Senior student Miyuki leaves alone, followed by her curious classmate Ai. They find Miyuki collapsed on the ground, looking extremely weak. Ai rushes to check on her, and Miyuki weakly says her blood sugar is low. Ai brings her a cup of juice, but Miyuki is too faint to open her mouth. With no other choice, Ai feeds her the juice mouth to mouth. Miyuki feels better, thanks Ai, and quickly leaves with her head down. Although Ai is a popular figure in this high school, excelling in academics and being adored by teachers and classmates, she has a secret. She has always had a crush on her classmate Murakami, often stealing glances at him during class. Murakami is also a top student, but is somewhat reserved and keeps his distance from Ai. During a break, Ai goes to throw out the trash and sees Murakami by the stairs. To get his attention, she throws the trash can, scattering garbage everywhere. Murakami indeed notices and helps clean up. Ai seizes the opportunity to chat with him, but Murakami remains aloof and doesn't engage. After school, Ai goes out with some classmates. A boy jokingly suggests stealing the exam papers for tomorrow's test. Ai, being a good student, shouldn't need to take such a risk, but surprisingly, she agrees. It turns out Ai has another motive. She wants to get the letter Murakami was reading to find out who wrote it and what it says. As night falls, Ai and her friends sneak into the school. While the others head to the teacher's office to steal the exam papers, Ai goes to the classroom alone. In Murakami's locker, she finds a letter from Rika and takes it. Soon her friend comes looking for her, saying the office door is locked and they can't get in. In the next moment, her friend impulsively hugs Ai and boldly confesses his feelings for her. Someone else, Ai gently rejecting and says she likes. On the way home, Ai eagerly reads the letter she took. To her surprise, it's a love letter. And the writer is none other than Miyuki, the girl who nearly fainted from low blood sugar. From the letter, it's clear that Miyuki and Murakami have been dating for a while. Ai feels upset and frustrated, as she believes Miyuki is neither as smart nor as attractive as she is, and can't understand why Murakami would like her. The next day, the dance team continues to practice, but Miyuki doesn't show up. It turns out she has decided to quit the team due to her diabetes. Ai hasn't given up on Murakami. In fact, knowing he has a girlfriend only fuels her determination to win him back from Miyuki. To succeed in this emotional battle, Ai first needs to understand her rival, Miyuki. During a break, she goes to Miyuki's classroom and sees her sitting alone, looking like she doesn't have many friends. Soon, Miyuki gets up to go to the nurse's office, and Ai follows her. Discovering that Miyuki is administering insulin to herself, Ai returns to her classroom, struggling with a math problem, and asks Murakami for help. Although he doesn't refuse, he only explains the problem without saying anything extra. That night, Ai studies at home but can't focus, her mind filled with thoughts of Miyuki and Murakami. She decides to go to school and takes all of Murakami's letters to read. From them, she learns that Miyuki and Murakami were classmates in their first year and have been secretly dating, communicating only through letters at school. Miyuki often arrives at school early to secretly place letters in Murakami's desk drawer. This unique way of interacting as a couple is something Ai doesn't fully understand, but she feels both envy and jealousy. Ai starts observing Miyuki more closely and notices that when Miyuki and Murakami pass each other on the field, they act like strangers with no interaction. To learn more about Miyuki, Ai decides to take the initiative. During a break, Miyuki goes to the nurse's office as usual to administer insulin, and Ai seizes the moment to approach her with a smile. Since Ai helped her during her last episode, Miyuki is grateful and, being frail and often friendless, is happy to have Ai's company. They chat happily and add each other on social media, becoming friends after this conversation. The two girls become friends, and over the weekend, Ai invites Miyuki to watch a movie. During the movie, Ai looks at Miyuki's profile and says, "You're really cute." Miyuki shyly smiles and replies, "You're the cute one." Ai then asks, "Do you have a boyfriend?" Miyuki, unaware of Ai's intentions, sees her as a friend and lets her guard down, happily sharing her relationship with Murakami. Although Ai already knew, hearing it confirmed by Miyuki makes her feel a bit weak. After the movie, they go to karaoke, and Ai skillfully steers Murakami. Miyuki openly shares that she and Murakami met in a tutoring class in middle school and became a couple. Since Murakami doesn't want his family to know about their relationship, they keep it a secret. I then asks a bold and direct question. You've been dating for so long, you must have done it, right? Miyuki blushes and denies it, saying they haven't even kissed, only held hands. I envies this pure love, but also feels jealous of Miyuki's innocence. She then has a thought. If Miyuki were no longer pure, maybe Murakami wouldn't like her anymore. With this in mind, I says, in that case, my feeding you juice last time was your first kiss, right? Miyuki nods in agreement. I pauses briefly and then suggests, let's have a real kiss this time. Before Miyuki can react, I kisses her. Miyuki is stunned but doesn't resist, even feeling a bit happy. As they part, Miyuki turns away for a wonderful day and waves goodbye with a smile. Soon after, the school holds a meeting with the parents of senior students. I and her mother attend, and the teacher praises Ai's excellent grades, saying she has a good chance of getting into a local university. Her mother is overjoyed. As they leave, a middle-aged man enters the office, followed by Murakami. It's clear the man is his father. Ai tells her mother to go home first and eavesdrops outside the office. She learns that Murakami plans to go to Tokyo for college. His parents are divorced, and his mother lives in Tokyo. His father is reluctant but eventually agrees to let him go. A few days later, after school, Ai, as a class leader, organizes her classmates to make crafts for the cultural festival. As night falls, everyone wants to go home for dinner, but the crafts still need painting. Ai asks Murakami to stay and help finish the task. After a moment's hesitation, he agrees and the others leave, leaving them alone. Ai straightforwardly says, I've become friends with Miyuki and know you're dating. Murakami is surprised but says nothing. Ai then boldly confesses, I've liked you since our first year, but never had the chance to talk to you. I'm glad we're in the same class now. Murakami falls silent, and Ai, feeling anxious, asks, why don't you like me? Murakami finally speaks. I always feel like you're lying. Ai is taken aback and instinctively asks, about liking you? Murakami replies, not just that, but everything. You always seem fake, like you're lying. The next day, I downcast by his response, and after yelling at him, she leaves in tears. During dance practice, she goes through the motions listlessly. Miyuki comes to find her, wanting to plan their next outing. Ai suggests, how about today, and drags Miyuki away, skipping practice. The boy who confessed to Ai before isn't giving up and tries again, offering her a ring. Ai impatiently rejects him without even a smile. Miyuki takes Ai home, and suddenly, Ai confesses, looking into Miyuki's eyes, I never saw you as a friend. I've always liked you. Miyuki is stunned. Ai asks, do you only like boys, not girls? Miyuki laughs and says, I think liking someone isn't about gender. Ai then asks, can you accept it physically? Miyuki honestly replies, I haven't thought about it, but being happy together doesn't require physical contact. The next moment, Ai starts kissing Miyuki and pushes her down. Miyuki is at a loss, not moving, as Ai's actions escalate, undressing her and touching her chest, even making dangerous moves. Miyuki's eyes are half open, her expression a mix of pain and pleasure. After a while, Miyuki's mother comes home, calling for her, interrupting their intimacy. Miyuki hurriedly gets up, dresses, and goes to see her mother. Ai looks at her hand with disgust and goes to wash it. After washing, she feels tired and lies down. Miyuki later brings her a snack and, seeing Ai asleep, smiles gently and strokes her hair. The next day, the paper tree Ai led the class in making wins a prize at the cultural festival. Since she and Murakami contributed the most, the teacher asks them to pose with the award in front of the tree. They both smile appropriately, but there's a sense of distance between them. After school, Ai accidentally sees her friend going to a hotel with a boy. Although she doesn't like him, she feels a bit down and goes to Miyuki's house. Ai doesn't realize that although she initially befriended Miyuki with ulterior motives, Miyuki's kindness and sincerity have slowly influenced her. Now when Ai feels low, she instinctively seeks someone to rely on, and that person is Miyuki. Miyuki soon returns, apologizing for making Ai wait outside. Ai says nothing, but as soon as she enters, she hugs Miyuki tightly. Burying her head in Miyuki's shoulder, Ai rubs her face against her and starts kissing her. The two then undress and get into bed together. After their intimate moment, Miyuki falls asleep with a satisfied smile, while Ai secretly uses her phone to text Murakami, asking him to meet in the classroom. When Murakami arrives, he finds Ai instead. Ai bluntly says, "I tricked you here in Miyuki's name," and boasts, "I've been with Miyuki twice and she was happy." I thought Murakami would stop loving Miyuki if he knew she wasn't perfect, but he shows no reaction and turns to leave. Ai, feeling frustrated, grabs him and raises her voice. "Do you think I'm lying?" Murakami calmly replies, "No, I believe it's true." Ai's twisted obsession and possessiveness reach their peak, and she strips down to her underwear, pleading, "Be mine." But Murakami remains unmoved. Murakami coldly puts on his clothes, and Ai, feeling a bit wronged, silently dresses. Murakami then speaks his mind. "I hate people like you, who are selfish and reckless, doing anything to satisfy their desires without considering others' feelings, taking whatever they want without guilt." Ai seems to have lost her mind, holding Murakami's hand, disregarding dignity and pleading, "I've always watched you, trying to get close to you." She humbly begs again, "Be mine." Murakami asks, "What does it mean to be yours?" Without thinking, Ai replies, "Hug me, kiss me." Murakami mechanically complies, then asks, "Are you happy?" Ai nods, "Yes." Murakami says, "Then show it." In reality, her actions were stiff and emotionless, and Ai couldn't truly feel happy. But she forces a smile, not realizing this is exactly what Murakami wants. He sarcastically says, "Your smile is so forced, unlike your usual fake smile, with no light in your eyes. This is the smile of someone extremely self-centered." "Smile sincerely for someone else? For me, just once," Murakami says, hitting the nail on the head and leaves. Ai stands there, devastated, her heart shattered. Murakami's words deeply affect her, filling her with a sense of failure and self-doubt. While she loses interest in everything and avoids seeing Miyuki, not even replying to her messages. Soon, Murakami goes to Tokyo for a college entrance exam. In class, Ai looks at his empty seat, feeling down and unable to focus. Shidashi absent-mindedly leaves the classroom, ignoring the teacher's calls, surprising her classmates. After class, her friend and the boy find her, worried about her. Ai, in a bad mood, snaps at her friend, "Are you and the boy dating or just friends?" Her friend tearfully asks, "If we're just friends with benefits, would you look down on me?" Ai realizes she went too far and apologizes. The next day, Miyuki messages Ai again, and Ai finally replies, asking to meet at a cafe. There, Miyuki tells her that Murakami got into college and she plans to go to Tokyo with him to find a job. Ai sarcastically asks, "What if you fall in love with someone else?" Miyuki smiles sincerely and says, "Then I'll wish them well." Ai pauses, then says, "That's nice to say," and leaves. Miyuki follows, saying she can't forget their time together and plans to tell Murakami everything. It's clear Miyuki has developed feelings for Ai. Ai returns the letter she took and confesses, "I liked Murakami and only approached you after finding out you were dating." Miyuki is shocked, and Ai continues, "I've already confessed to Murakami." Miyuki's eyes well up with tears, and she finally says, "Ai, you're scary." Ai casually apologizes, but Miyuki shows a complex expression and says, "You're lying, right? I don't think you're sorry because there's no light in your eyes." Hearing Miyuki echo Murakami's words, Ai's smile vanishes, and she stands there, stunned. Miyuki says nothing more and leaves. A few days later, Ai aimlessly wanders the streets and sees Miyuki rushing to a bus stop looking anxious. Curious, Ai follows and asks where she's going. Miyuki, worried, says Murakami had a fight with his father. They go to Murakami's house and find him dejected. His father has changed his mind and won't let him go to Tokyo. Miyuki pleads for Murakami, but his father refuses, saying he won't let his son go to Tokyo to see his mother. He then asks which of the girls is writing letters to Murakami, making a snide remark about their secrecy. Murakami, angered by his father's attitude, grabs his shirt and Miyuki and Ai quickly pull him away. His father throws a glass of water in his face, mocking him for needing 2 women to help. Ai, furious, rushes over and knocks his father down, then leaves with Murakami and Miyuki. Murakami decides to stand up to his father and not go home. Miyuki and Ai accompany him to a hotel, where they rent a room to stay. Miyuki gently comforts Murakami, and Ai watches, surprised to find she no longer feels jealous or envious, as if she's let go of her obsession with Murakami. A few days later, in class, the teacher discusses graduation ceremony details. Ai finds a letter from Miyuki in her desk drawer. In it, Miyuki candidly shares her struggles with illness, her thoughts on life, and her feelings for Ai. Thank you for showing me the joy of being touched. You're impulsive and lack restraint, but even if it was all planned, you opened your heart to me even for a moment. I won't forget that moment. Reading the letter, Ai is deeply moved, realizing Miyuki doesn't blame her and has accepted her impulsiveness. This makes Ai understand that true love isn't about possession but understanding, and accepting everything about the other person. In that moment, Ai feels Miyuki's genuine affection and sees her own heart clearly. Her interest in Murakami was just curiosity and possessiveness, while her initial approach to Miyuki was out of exploration and confusion. But unknowingly, she has grown to like Miyuki. After this self-reflection, Ai runs to Miyuki's classroom, and as she opens the door, her eyes finally light up. Everyone in the classroom looks at her with surprise, and Miyuki is completely stunned. Under everyone's gaze, Ai walks to Miyuki, kneels down, and holds her hand, her eyes sparkling as she sincerely invites, "Let's sleep together again." With Ai's brave declaration of her feelings, she is no longer confused, no longer the selfish, calculating girl who disregarded others' feelings. She can finally be sincere and find a soft spot in her heart. The film ends with Handwritten Letter of Dawn in December 2001. The film, through its delicate emotional portrayal and vivid character development, showcases the growth, confusion, and self-awareness of adolescence. It's not just a story about a love triangle, but a touching poem about youth, courage, and growth. Behind each character, we see the uncertainty and bravery towards an unknown future, feeling the real humanity and beautiful emotions contained in the conflicts and contradictions of adolescence. That's it for this video. Thank you for your continued support. See you next time.